What is up, New Beginnings Church? Happy Tuesday morning to you and welcome to this devotion series through the Gospel of Luke. We're in Luke chapter 22. Let's do this. Short little just set of verses here, but I found it to be so fascinating, gave it some real thought, and I found it to be challenging for maybe even me personally as a leader. I think hopefully you'll find it challenging, especially as a dad or as a mom or as a boss or just how you interact and treat other people. Just really interesting. Let's dive in. Verse 31 says, Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift you as wheat. But I have prayed for you, Simon, that your faith may not fail. And when you have turned back, strengthen your brothers. But Peter replied, Lord, I'm ready to go with you to prison and to death. And Jesus answered and said, I tell you, Peter, before the rooster crows today, you will deny 3 times that you know me. Now, again, if you know the Jesus story, we know that Peter does go on to deny Jesus 3 times after Peter is kind of like, he's found at a campfire. A couple people are, hey, you're a Jesus guy. Hey, you're with Jesus. He starts denying and cursing. And then, of course, that rooster crows. Again, that's connected to a beautiful moment later in the Gospels where, of course, Jesus restores Peter at the breaking of the day when the rooster would have been crowing again. Anyway, real fascinating stuff, but let's lock in here. What I really locked into is this opening line. Simon, Simon, Satan has asked to sift you as wheat. I want to talk about that. What does this mean here? What's kind of going on? The answer is I can't exactly speak to what precisely is going on here, but there's clearly a metaphor in play. To sift you as wheat. Satan is coming to tempt Peter. We of course know that he's tempted and he does indeed deny Jesus. But let's talk about what does that mean to sift you as wheat? You know, I don't know about you, but I had to look this up and study this out. What does that mean? I didn't grow up with wheat fields. We don't, we have tractors now, right? So what does it mean to sift as wheat? And the wheat sifting process apparently had 2 main components. The first one would have been referred to as threshing, right? So you had the wheat, but you had to basically, you would take what's called a flail, which was like a stick with an end on it that was loose and could flail around, and you could beat it, right? And so what you were doing is that the wheat had an outer shell, and so you had to beat it so that the shell would be broken up off the wheat, right? So then what you would do is you would do the second component of it. You would gather up the wheat after you kind of beat on it with this flail. You put it in a bowl, and then you do a winnowing process. So if there's a little bit of a breeze outside, what you do is you take this bowl, and then you would throw the wheat just slightly up into the air. And what happens is that the wheat comes down, but all the dust and the debris that you don't want in your wheat, it blows away. And so this is that process of saying, hey, there's an outer shell over your life that doesn't belong. That's not the good stuff. There's debris in your life that doesn't belong. And if it stays there, you're going to end up with an impure product. And I started thinking about this, clearly, Peter is going to be tempted. And what's going to happen is that he's going to fail the temptation. But I need you to see how powerful this is. Jesus is going to use that failure to build into Peter the very thing that he needs to become a great leader. See, I think Jesus is already looking okay, I'm going to rise from the dead. They don't know that. These guys are going to lead the New Testament church into the future, and they're going to write parts of what we call Holy Scripture. He's going to have to lead people, love people, pastor people, care for people. And you know what? He's not going to be able to do that effectively because he's got this shell over his life and over his heart. He's got debris and impurities in his life, and they don't belong there. And when you look at Peter, his greatest flaw is maybe his arrogance. Clearly he had a level of confidence, but it was self-confidence moved towards arrogance. And, he was quick to speak before thinking. He was quick to open up his mouth. He was quick to jump into things. And so I think what Jesus is noticing is this, hey, for you to be the leader in the future that I need you to be, and maybe for you, it's for you to be the mom, for you to be the dad, the husband, the wife, the boss, the leader, the employee, the leader in your church. There's things in your life. And Satan's temptation, I'm actually going to harness that and use that to get rid of that sifting process. See, if you don't get rid of Peter's arrogance, this is what happens. This is why it hit home for me. If I don't get rid of my arrogance, you know what I'm tempted to do? Take the credit for myself instead of give God the glory. To rely on my own strength instead of truly depend on God, to think myself wise. Because if I go out and we accomplish a bunch of stuff and I'm too confident, I'll actually think it was my genius that pulled it off. I will not be a humble leader. I'll be harsh when I speak to people. I'll still be abrasive instead of being slow to speak and even gentle with my words. And you know what may be the greatest thing of all? When people around me fail, I won't be merciful. See, Peter had to taste utter failure so that he could receive total humility. And in that, him go speak the grace of God. So I guess my challenge to you is this. Is there an area of your life where maybe you failed? Maybe temptation got the best of you. But God actually wants to use that to be a sifting process to get something bad out of your heart and out of your life. And if you could go through that sifting process, maybe, God would be able to use you to do even greater things. So whether it's God sanctifying us, whether it's life and trials sanctify us, or maybe it is Satan and temptation itself, may we always be surrendered to the process of God. I want you to have my whole heart. I want my heart to be pure before you so that I can be your humble servant. Church, I hope that blesses your heart today. I love you so much. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.